The starting point is that you are completely at the beginning. You don't have much education, experience, money, or connections, but you do have great ambitions and a desire to do something. Today, we will talk about how to grow as quickly as possible when you are starting, completely from scratch. My name is Kirill Juran, and I lead the consulting group SMPL, where we take care of digital entrepreneurs. Because we handle their legal matters, taxes, and accounting, I have seen quite a few business stories. Today, I would like to advise you without any hesitation what I would advise myself if I were completely at the beginning of my journey, what I would do. These won't be tips like do dropshipping, affiliate marketing, and trade and other similar low-level nonsense. These are specific practical pieces of advice that I would give to myself. Let's get started. The first great way to grow very quickly at the beginning is to go work as an assistant to a good CEO. You will learn very little anywhere else compared to when you assist someone who is already a few steps ahead of you. It can be quite complicated to choose who this person is. They must be accessible enough for you to realistically see what they do. However, as an assistant, you typically have a great overview and get access to a lot of things. It's actually a good detour compared to growing into a managerial position that has access to the CEO. Since assistants are often seen as lower-level professions, despite how low you are, you have access to a lot of things and a wealth of information. It's a great opportunity to learn, acting as a good gatekeeper. If you are 19 and want to grow quickly somewhere, choose someone who has already grown, find a way to sell yourself so that you can assist them and observe their work closely. Of course, the assumption is that you provide some added value. However, being an assistant to a good CEO is, in my opinion, a great way to grow your business very quickly. Another tip is to visit various communities, different startup weekends, various hackathons, different forums, and so on. In short, surround yourself with people who are in the same position as you. They haven't achieved anything yet, but they have a strong desire and everyone is trying something. This environment is just amazing. I once mentored at a startup weekend, and since then I have a great friend. It's a really good environment, and it doesn't matter that most people, from the first projects, fail and similar things. What matters is that big number and that you are where something is being built. It really shifts the mindset so well, but in reality, it's where something is being built. But if you attend courses on successful success or how to operate in IMLM, then that's not it either. There are various options, whether it's crypto or different IT hackathons. There are really a lot of opportunities where the deep people are, those who want to create something and actually build things together, not just resell. Another thing is to really explore the things that interest you. If you find a particular business interesting, then study it. This means that if you find an interesting business, I don't know, like online invoicing or something similar, go and click through to see how it works, all the way to the level of what their terms and conditions look like, how payments are made from the user's perspective, whether they pay just a small amount or for years, what their cash flow probably looks like, how many users they have, how many paying users they might have, and so on. Yeah, it is incredibly enlightening to study the business as deeply as you can, based on what you can find from the available resources. So really click through those things as deeply as you can. It's a completely beautiful way to learn something. Another great way to learn something is simply to steal it. If you don't have experience and deep knowledge, or if you're not in a very specific niche, it can be difficult to come up with something revolutionary. Very often, the idea that I have to come up with the next Facebook feels very, very difficult. What's good is, well, take a look at what interests you and try to copy it. Try to do it the same way or try to improve it a little or do it cheaper. Doing it, again, is a huge learning experience. It's really great for learning. Try mystery shopping, explore a business that interests you, something that catches your attention. So try to inquire about their service, attempt to navigate the process from the customer's perspective and find out where the bottlenecks in that business are. You don't have to create something revolutionary. I would say that the vast majority of businesses are not revolutionary. Most businesses are simply done, similarly to how someone did it 50 years ago or 10 years ago, or how someone is currently doing it now. It is rare for a business you start to be something that no one else in the world is doing. For the average person, this would be more of a red flag, as it would mean that you may have overlooked something or that you will have a high failure ratio in not succeeding at something. Another great thing that I still draw from are interviews, but be really careful with lifestyle interviews. Now, there's just so much of it again, like I made 10 million here, I earn this much monthly, typically I drive this car. So it's just not that. Find a business that you know works, that you know generates interesting numbers, simply as a relevant business. Typically, it will rarely be a resale, but it will simply be something that someone has actually built, providing some good service or a good product. Typically, these are like conversations with the people who are pushing the product or service, those who created it. So for me, as there were a lot of really interesting conversations, it was earlier with young entrepreneurs because there it already went a bit deeper. The questions typically aren't like, how did you make your first million? But rather, you want to hear questions like, how do you handle operations? How do you approach hiring? When do you decide to let someone go? Those very practical things, like how you manage sales and so on. These are the very practical things, because in the end, you will piece together the business from individual parts, and you have to solve each part, each problem in quotes. It's really interesting to listen to someone who has already solved a lot of those problems along the way and shares how they did it. Another good tip from my perspective is to create demand before supply. Very often it is possible, typically in service businesses, to sell before you have a product if you know that you will most likely be able to create it. This means finding someone who is willing to pay for that specific service before you have even purchased, assembled, or created the service if you know you can handle it. Now, let me give you an example. If you have a seamstress friend who makes great suits and you want to, I don't know, create a longer line of suits, try to find someone who is already willing to buy that suit from you, someone who might be able to give you a deposit, and then you can arrange it with her. After that, you can complete it. Yes, you won't always pay up front. Sometimes you just have to create the product first. However, in service-based businesses, it is often possible to first acquire a client and then subsequently develop the service. It doesn't mean that you are faking something you can't do at all, but it's more about having some cash flow and investment so you have a higher level of certainty that someone is already willing to put money on the table for it. At the same time, it is often possible to create a placeholder, which means that I can create a simple website where I might just include a form or something along those lines to find out how many people are interested in the service, in the presentation of the service that has not yet been created, or the presentation of the product. This significantly reduces the risk of failing at the moment when you have a potential or non-potential, but already certain paying customer before you have invested a lot of time and a lot of money into it. And the last tip, if you are a craftsman, if you do some real craft, so to speak, whether in the real world or online, I think a good way is, if you don't have a name, you can't do anything big, then do it for free. How? Would you create some interesting advertising for Audi? Such is the story of Jardibek, who always classically recounts that, yes, we created a trailer for this game here even before anyone knew us, and we just put it online. Create something that is already interesting even before you start doing it or write about something. Build your expertise in something before a large number of clients and customers accumulate. Very often this is possible. Either you create a great product, put it online somewhere. I don't know, you're a marketer, create an interesting marketing campaign, maybe something really interesting like a joke marketing campaign. Again, the product did not exist, but it had a great reach and a very interesting concept. This is everything I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you have any interesting business story about how you took your first steps, I would be extremely happy if you could share it in the comments, because there are quite a few people here who have gone through this journey in some way, and it is always very educational to learn how others started and how they took their first steps, as those are often the hardest. Thank you very much. Think for yourself. No one will teach you that. Goodbye.